go ahead and get started. We have offensive lineman Jaquay Hubbard. Questions for Jaquay, Greg?
So, Jaquay, start with just the basics. How are you different this spring than even last fall and in previous years?
Yeah, so this year really focused on my body, once again, what's new. But I really tried to focus on, lateral movement, mobility, things that I saw in my game that I weren't happy with in 2023, just trying to perfect ahead of the season.
Come a long way from single wing, huh?
Man, long way. Long way, for sure.
About this offensive line, what can it accomplish this year?
Man, I say we can, be even better than last year. Obviously, you can't replace, a Zach Frazier, a Doug Nestor. I'm sure many people have sat up here and told you that. But at the same time, I feel like we have the opportunity to carry on what they brought to us. Yates at center now. He's the captain of the O-line, and he's not Frazier, but he's still a great player, very twitchy, very smart. So expectations don't lower. We're expecting that we're going to lead this team, and that's the expectations for the coaches and ourselves.
You're going into year 2 of blocking for Garrett Green.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like blocking for him? And do you have to does it kind of keep you on your toes a little bit?
Yeah, blocking for Garrett's fun, man. He's really good with communicating with us back there, and Lord forbid we mess up. He's one of the fastest on the team. He'll get up out of there. So when you got someone who can run 21 miles per hour, obviously you can't lack your performance, but it definitely lets you a little bit for sure.
How is it different for you mentality-wise without Zach and Doug around? You're kind of cast into more of a leadership role than you would have had to be with them here.
Yeah, for sure. I even tried to be a leader last year with Zach there. I would say it's different. I try to really know what the center is going to say, know his identifications, the mic check. And, last year, I got Zach Frazier, telling me, hey, be this guy, or, we're going backside this way. But I really try to take it upon myself to know the calls before Yates even tells me, because we're a senior loaded offensive line. So if I could be one step ahead for what Yates is gonna tell me, it's all about anticipation.
It's hard to sort of adjust with Nick beside you, and how important is it that you guys get that chemistry?
Yeah, Nick, as you guys well documented, me and Nick, we played several games together last year. So I wouldn't say it's, too much of a difference. Now, there are some things, maybe that him and Doug would do differently that we're communicating about, but that's what practice for. We just had practice 12 today. I feel like we're in a really good spot. And as Coach Moore said, this is not a rebuild. We're just reloading, and come August 31st, we'll show you guys what's up.
A lot of guys have talked about 10 wins or more. What's it going to take, in your opinion, to get from 9 to 10 or even more in this program?
Yeah, great question. Practice, and that may sound be a weak answer, but Coach Brown has a saying all around the building, better your best. Whatever you did last year, everyone's got to take it up a notch, whether that's your preparation before practice, what you're doing on the weekends, your film study, what you're looking at. We just need everyone to elevate their game, from the backup kicker to, the strength staff, no leaf unturned. We just want everyone in the program to elevate, and that's what we're doing right now. We're working hard. We're getting coached the hardest we ever have, because the expectations, like you said, Big 12 champs. We talk about trying to go to Dallas every day. That's really the mindset right now.
You're an older guy. How do you take ownership of that?
I take ownership by leading by example. Showing up at 5:45 in the morning with some of the other guys. Me, Wyatt, Landon, Brandon Yates. Just showing. I can't just talk about it. I got to be about it too. If I make a mistake in practice, I can't repeat that mistake. That's something that maybe a freshman or a sophomore would do. I'm way too old for that. So really just putting a lot of pressure on myself. Like the scrimmage we just had, I was treating it like it was a game. I'm not really laughing on the sidelines or nothing like that. I'm just trying to take every rep game-like so that when August 31st does come, it'll be easy.
Do you see that amongst your other guys? The
Yeah.
approach you're taking? Kind of a business-like approach, I guess?
Yeah, yes, sir, absolutely, because we demand it. As you mentioned, we're older, so the young guys, if they see us doing it, they don't have a choice. And Coach Moore and Coach Brown has done a really great job allowing us to be player-led. So if the players leading or holding that standard, you have, either adapt or get out.
Quite. How is it different? Last year, you guys went into the season trying to prove you weren't the 14th team in the conference. Now, this year, you're going in trying to prove you're the best. How is that different as far as motivation and your own minds?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, I think it's still the same approach. At least for me, I haven't seen many predictions of people picking us first. I say even if they pick us third, that's still a snub in my opinion. Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, they always mention, find something to motivate you. Always find something to give you that extra edge. And, last year it wasn't, we had a better season, but the goal was the Big 12 championship, and we didn't do it. So, there's no room for complacency. As you see, we didn't win the Big 12 championship. So if you have any mindset like you arrived, you're wrong. That's kind of been the way we've been approaching it. People aren't picking us 14th, but they're not picking us first. So we still got that chip on our shoulder.
Getting back to Green, the zone play a couple years ago was basically a wasted play.
Mm-hmm.
With him now, there's so many things you can do off that in there.
Oh, man, yeah, absolutely. Because, we weren't really fooling many defenses, a few years ago with the zone read, as you mentioned. But now with Garrett, you have to respect it, because he'll take off and he'll turn that read into a 60-yard run. And that helps us, as offensive linemen, because we could do that, take some pressure off of us. We got some new things working right now where we'll take advantage of that this fall. So having Garrett, someone who can sling it and take off, it's the new face of college football, and thank goodness we got our guy.
Kind of keeps those defensive ends a little honest, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can't just scream upfield all the time. They gotta, read their keys. And then, the good thing with us is, as you guys will document it, we were a running team last year for the most part. But you try to play everyone in a box, we'll hit you over the top quick. So like you mentioned, it keeps the defense really honest, and I feel like that's how we're going to approach this season as well.
And it suits Nico too.
Yeah, Nico. Shout out Nico. He's gotten so much better. I'm proud of the way he's been handling his situation. He's not a runner. You see, he's here. Oh, that's another guy. He's in here about 6:10 in the morning. He's getting here early too, busting his butt. He's one of the most improved players on the team.
I was gonna say he's showing up.
Yeah.
A long pass today in a scrimmage. I mean, his throwing everything seems to be so much better.
So much better. Him and Garrett, they have a great relationship, but they battle each other every day. That's how it's supposed to be. Don't worry, the future is in good hands. Nico is that guy.
Now, to the end of your running team, people talk about being a running team, but obviously there's more to it. You can throw the ball as well. How has it been different this offseason having most of the receivers back, tight end room similar? That's a counter flip to what it was going into last offseason, where you're changing a whole receiver room and even changing tight ends and things like that. How's that been different in terms of preparation, in terms of the off-season work, what that could do for you guys? Yeah,
really, it just lets us see what we have at an earlier point into the season. It allows us to really, allows Coach Brown and Coach Scott to really get a feel for, the personnel and what personnel goes well with what scheme and vice versa. So I would definitely say we're ahead of the curve a little bit at that point. Now, fall camp, there'll be a little bit more of that going on. Right now, it's a lot about just getting better, as I'm sure you guys have heard. multiple times. It's all about getting better right now. But yeah, we got a lot of personnel coming back, a lot of experience, a lot of competition. Our defense is playing tremendous this spring. Can't wait for you guys to see them this fall. Our defense, in my opinion, has taken a big step. Big step.
Quay, I know we've talked about you remaking your body in the past, but what was your heaviest, and what are you now, and how hard was it to get from point A to where you are at this
Yeah.
point?
Wow, great question. The heaviest I ever was over 400 pounds. I was over 400 pounds, and that was before. That was like my my freshman year. My freshman year I was a starter in high school. That is. I started basketball and football at 400 pounds. You know, so I was always a dancing bear, maybe a dancing whale, but I was always, you know, able to move. And then right now I'm down to about 320 with, you know, way more strength. Way more mobility, so my body's completely changed. You know, I have memories pop up on my phone all the time, and I'm like, that guy would never be here right now, so I had to put the work in.
I've heard Brandon Yates, we had him in here, he mentioned a little bit about 300 level stuff that you guys are doing, you know, because you've got an older team. What does that entail? What more things are you doing now that maybe you weren't doing last year because you were younger and had more guys that you had to kind of figure out what was going on?
Yeah, great question. When he says 300 level stuff, he's basically alluding to the fact that we can anticipate calls, we can anticipate the defensive alignment, we can just see it before it happens. And at this level, if you're able to adjust the call to what the defense, where you feel really sure what they might do, that's 300 level stuff, because, you know, it's not in your face. You know, the defense isn't just going to show you it. But there's certain tells with, you know, maybe the alignment of the linebacker, how tight the 4-eye is. Does the corner have a safety on the hash? Is he pressed? Are his eyes inside? Those are some of the 300 level stuff that we're able to see right now with the older offensive line that, you know, my freshman year, sophomore year, I just wasn't able to see, you know, or maybe even those other guys. But now it's coming like this, and our coaches expect it.
You're just figuring out what the guy in front of you is going to do.
Yeah, when I first got here, you told me I got him, I'm staring at him the whole play, you know, and that does not get the job done.
And that's tipping off what you're going to do, too.
Yeah, right, you know, and, you know, now there's stuff. I won't give away too many of my secrets, but yeah, there's things I do now that because just like I'm looking for a tell for them, they're doing the same thing for me. So there's things I had to adjust in my game to help the execution of the play.
Hey, Quay, on Wednesday we had Coach Brownman here, and he was reflecting on the 5-7 season in 22 and said he had to reset after that season. What is the biggest thing or things that you've seen change since then, and how have they led to success?
Yeah, great question. I think I've mentioned this a couple times. I would say culture, you know, and just putting the right guys in the locker room, you know, that want to work hard, that take accountability for their mistakes, that show up early and are willing to put in the extra work. Being great is not easy. You know, showing up an hour and a half before you have to is not easy. You know, staying extra for game film when everyone, you know, may be going to have fun is not easy, you know, and I think he's been able to bring in and also retain those type of guys. And by him doing that, you know, our chemistry, this team, we love each other. And you can see that when we're on the field, you know, even offense versus defense, you know, maybe we'll have a little scuffle or something, and then we'll hug it out in the locker room. This team just loves each other, and, you know, you got a team that loves each other, and then you have Coach Mike, who instills that fighter mentality in us. We just feel unbeatable, you know. So to your point, after the 5-7 season, you know, because on paper we should have had a way better record than that. So we really had to go back to the drawing board and say, you know, so what's going on? And everyone had to look themselves in the mirror to a man and fix it. And, you know, obviously last season was better with 9 wins, and we're looking for Dallas this year. That's the goal.
You're talking about resetting the team. How about yourself? I'm intrigued by being 400 pounds as a freshman.
Yeah.
And you say you changed your body.
Yep.
For example, what might your waist have been back then and now? And how did you get convinced that was the way to go? Because it's hard to give up chocolate. No,
Man, well, so that's the funny thing. So I wasn't like always like a sweets guy. Like I love fried chicken, mac and cheese, candy yams. You know, I wasn't just now. Obviously, I'd eat chocolate too. Don't get me wrong. But my problem was I just loved a good meal. You know, maybe some roast, some brisket. I was all over the place. And my waist. You said my waist. Man, what was my waist back then? I think when I went to homecoming my freshman year of high school, I had like a 50-inch waist.
what now?
About a 38, 40. Yeah.
So that's a big difference.
Big jump.
What convinced you that you needed to do it? I mean,
Yeah, I tell people all the time, football saved my life, man, because, you know, you would think I'd be thinking of the health factor when I went to try to lose the weight, but I swear I didn't. You know, I just knew that I wanted to get recruited. And as I mentioned, I started my freshman year, and I had some recruits come up to me that were recruiting other guys in my area. And, you know, one coach just mentioned, you know, hey, if you lose that weight, you know, we would love you. And a guy who has been chasing that dream his whole life, I heard that. And I'm like, I won't let no fried chicken get away of my scholarship. So let me buckle down and go grab some cantaloupe or something. Yeah.
Getting back to the team chemistry thing, you know, the joke about how many people it takes to screw in a leg. Well, how many guys does it take to screw up a locker room?
Man, that's a good question. Yeah, not many, especially depending on their position. You know, I think our problem that we had in the past is we had really talented guys who could be energy vampires. You know, they were productive, but you know, they would complain, they would point fingers. And, you know, that's just really unfortunate because they're your best players or some of your best players on the team. But at the same time, you know, they're not helping that light bulb, you know. So I think just finding the guys that can produce mixed with that good character and integrity, it goes a long way. You know, and that's what we have now. And now, you know, say we get a new guy. Well, Coach Brown has done a great job with bringing in guys that match the culture. I've seen he's mentioned that in his interviews. So now if you try to come in with that type of mindset, you would just feel out of place because no one's putting up with that, you know? So I think we've made an environment to where it's like, okay, let me be accountable. Everyone else is doing it. I would stand out way too much in a negative way. So
high tide rises all boats.
All boats, you know, and it has everyone just being on the same page, and they don't want to feel left out. You know, we're on a mission this year. This is my last year, along with a lot of other guys, and it's championship or nothing is the mentality.
Would you say that there's almost more of a trust of the coaching staff a little bit when they go into the portal, especially because Coach Brown did talk about, and other assistants have talked, his assistants have talked about how they've gone to Neil and said, hey, this guy's really talented, you should bring him in, and then Neil, he's not a right cultural fit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about talent as maybe you're kind of saying it might have been before. It's more of a fit now. Does that create more of a trust in the coaching staff?
Absolutely, because, you know, they're realizing, because we're in the locker room more than them. You know, when someone's having a bad day, we'll see it before them. You know, if someone's you know, complaining or bringing everyone down, we'll see it before them. So, you know, we have like captain meetings or whatnot where we're able to talk to Coach Brown and just to get him on the same page on what's going on in the locker room. And yeah, that trust level is there. You know, even when we have recruits, we'll visit with some guys and we'll hang out with them. And, you know, Coach will just say, you know, hey, is this guy a fit? You know, like, will he mesh well with the room? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll just put a big X on him, but they might keep a little more of an eye on him, you know, maybe seek some other options. But, yeah, Coach Brown has done a great job with really becoming a player-led team. But that also, I got to give credit to the guys in the locker room for taking that task on full head.
Does that also speak to how the team kind of handles things, for example, not to call anybody out, but like if a new player comes in and you're getting like a little vibe, do you feel more comfortable as a unit you guys can kind of course correct
Yeah,
now, where not let it unravel?
absolutely. Yeah, like, hypothetically speaking, if a guy came in and was doing what you mentioned, complaining, just doing all the wrong things, we will try to fix on our level first before going to the coach. That's one thing about being a player-led team, because essentially we're going to be the ones on the field with them 4th and 1, fourth quarter. You know what I mean? So we got to build that relationship first to where I could say, hey, good job, or hey, I need you to pick it up. And you can only do that and it be effective if you have the right relationship with somebody. If you only talk to them every once in a while and then you try to correct them, they won't receive it the right way. I know I wouldn't. If someone just comes up to me that I never talked to and they're just always on me like, hey, I really won't react to it the right way as someone who I know really cares about my development. And if he's really trying to hold me accountable, I would like really not want to let him down. You know what I mean?
You play some of the stuff you're saying about football changed your life, and you weren't going to let fried chicken. Sorry, but you had the scholarship. Great school at UVA. You're playing starting as a true freshman, and then you kind of, I don't want to say gamble, but like you definitely take a leap.
Yep.
What, as much as you're comfortable to say, what happened at UVA, and then when you're in that portal and like you said, you're kind of a guy that people had passed on before. Was it nervy at all trying to figure out, all right, what's next? Is there next?
Yeah, no, so I didn't start. I'm sorry if I said that. I started as a freshman in high school. At UVA only played a few games, and it was just a better fit for me to leave at the time being. Love UVA. I feel like a lot of my mindset I have. I got to give credit to that program, Coach Mendenhall and his staff. They do a tremendous job over there. He's now at New Mexico State. I'm sure the same thing's going on there. It was just a right move for me, and I didn't have West Virginia coming out of high school. So when I entered the portal and they offered me, I really never wanted to go to Pitt. I could have went to Pitt obviously out of high school. I could have went to Pitt out of the portal. Just the process wasn't as I saw it. So I ended up choosing West Virginia, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life.
The body reformation, kind of keeping your career on track to lose that weight, to get yourself right and put yourself in this position. How much easier does that make football?
It's everything. It's
like a Penn State defensive lineman, that's kind of easy by comparison.
For sure, because like as an offensive lineman, body position, not leaning in your set in the run game, bringing your feet and hips with you, that all has to do with like body composition. And lower body strength, and that is what I lacked, especially like when I first got here. So yeah, I was never losing weight and all that to become a supermodel. I just wanted to be a great offensive lineman.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you guys.